Hey AfterBuzzers, welcome to the Guilt After Show. We're going to be talking about episode 7, A Fall from Grace. Stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Isn't it great? You know what? They just have the best soundtrack for this show. It just always gets me right into it. Hey guys, as we groove, welcome to the Guilt After Show on AfterBuzz TV. I'm Gabriel Gonzalez. You can catch me on Double G on TV, on Twitter. And to my left, I have the amazing social media master.
Yes, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Becca B Talks TV.
And to her left, we have the AfterBuzz TV angel.
Hi, I'm Renee Ariel, and you can find me on Instagram and on Twitter at Renee Ariel. This is the first time you've introduced me as the angel.
Okay, I'm sorry. She's the AfterBuzz TV demon. Sorry.
Okay.
Is that more appropriate?
One or the other.
I was about to compliment how good you were getting on intros until that.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, until the demon part.
Okay, you guys are both. It's like, being here with the angels of AfterBuzz TV every week. Mondays are the best. I can't complain. Now, of course, unless, the people who can't complain, Miss Grace Atwood, because that was...
Because she's kind of in prison.
So let's say it like it is, when we know Grace, those big puppy dog eyes, did you expect her to survive prison?
Nope, and I tweeted something along those lines at the beginning of the episode.
Man, this is not like Orange is the New Black.
It's true.
Grace can't really defend herself.
Well, I guess, you gotta be rich or you gotta be smart to get out of it, so...
Yeah.
It was definitely an interesting episode. We open up, obviously, Grace is experiencing booking. At the same time, Gwen is holding the press conference. There's the media storm of, Grace Atwood, kill Molly Ryan, and all the fallout. So we talked about it last episode. They were really rolling the dice with setting up the evidence. And what I find surprising is for half of this episode, that didn't even really come into play for a while. It was honestly all just because of Luke. We saw that interaction with Roz. But how do you think, it's escalated? Because obviously, we have a very... How do we get Grace necessarily off the suspect list if she's not the killer? Or, where does the story go now that she's such a central suspect? What can get attention off of her?
It has to be another suspect.
Yep.
At this point, it has to be someone that they have more evidence on. Like, that's the only way. Because right now, all fingers are pointed at Grace. The only other suspect they had is now off the list because he's just a little bit smart and could be like, well, it was clearly planted and I have this, and this to kind of prove that. So, and a video camera in his car? It's like great for paranoid
hitting
people.
cameras everywhere.
That's like too much.
Okay, I was going to say, I remember one TV show. I don't know if it's a real thing, but apparently like a Lamborghini, you can't actually hotwire a Lamborghini. Like, just because, it's not like your regular Honda Civic, so expensive cars do have
Is there a problem with a Honda Civic?
No, my sister drives a Honda Civic, and she got me to school for a long time.
It's good. It's good.
Why? What color is yours?
It's black.
Okay, awesome. Carpool. All right, so, but here's the thing. You raised a great point. Nearly all of our suspects really, at least for most of this episode, there was no attention on anyone besides Grace. And that really led to some questions for our favorite sister, Natalie. So one of the big themes, she was really experiencing, could Grace have done it? And she really feels strongly. Did you expect her, after she's been so much, Grace didn't do it, to really have this change of heart now in this episode?
No.
Yeah, it makes sense, I think. Because, she's... Okay, now I think it's safe to say she's off my suspect list.
Oh my goodness.
Time.
So Emily, if you're watching,
I'm shocked.
breaking news.
But it does make sense to me because I think she wants justice, and I think she does have good morals. So finding out all of this information, and it wasn't like originally when Grace was the easy pick. She's like, well, maybe she did do it. It was she didn't believe it up until like all things pointed to Grace. Even Grace isn't sure that she's like, well, my sister deserves to be punished for this. unfortunately, but she does deserve to be behind bars if she is a killer.
If she is, then yeah. But, I mean, all signs at this point are kind of pointing to Grace, just because no one else has that evidence out of, like, against them yet that they did it.
So you think? So here's my thing. Do you think Natalie, it's that she's staying true to character after learning all this stuff to go against Grace, or do you think that it was done too quickly and that she still should be with her sister?
Oh.
Just because she's been so much on her side,
Yeah.
and I feel like this could be a big turning point, especially if you think whoever, let's say it's not Grace, I feel like the season finale would come down to who was it, Grace or
this person.
the actual killer. So,
Yeah.
and I feel like having Natalie on your side would be one of the turning points to getting Grace, cleared of the crime, or even finding out who it really was.
Well, I think that from this episode on, Natalie is not going to be on Team Grace. She is in the sense of she still loves her sister, but I think it's going to be made clear to Grace that even her sister thinks she's did it, and on top of that, thinks that she should be behind bars, which sets up a really interesting dynamic for season 2. These sisters not liking not trusting each other, huge trust issues, and Grace resenting Natalie. I can see that being in season 2.
Right.
Yes, I like
Yes.
that we're jumping into season 2 storylines. Thinking about those season 2 storylines.
Well, what's really cool is that as twisted as all of this is getting, we're up in the ante to set up for eventual season 2.
Oh no, we definitely are, especially
yeah.
with the end of tonight's episode.
Oh yeah, it's getting just more and more fun, and we got a reintroduction of another character. We had James finally come back after his little
Yes.
hiatus. I guess he was helping Buffy Summers somewhere.
Okay.
But, it was good. You're not a Buffy fan.
No, James this episode wigged me out on so many levels. And who comes straight home and starts a bath?
Yeah, no, that was really sketchy.
That's the weirdest. I've
He was
never
taking off
gone
his
home and
time
time
really
to draw a
slowly.
bath ever. And that's the first thing he did coming home. I found that so weird.
No, I was like, what's in the
That's
bathtub?
not what you do when you get home.
Is
Take a
it-
shower. It's late. Why are you taking a bath? Your stepkid's in prison.
Is it a rich person thing, maybe?
I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe
I
people
hope-
go home and take a bath.
No, I want to know.
It's like they have, is it bath time after tea time? You never know.
Never know.
With someone across the pond, I love you guys, but please answer that question for me. But okay, so, very interesting. And James, he kind of interacted with so many of our characters, which isn't
Yeah.
typical. He usually focuses a lot of his time with just, the sisters. We get maybe a little bit of him with Stan, but this episode we saw him with all three. So first off, Natalie and James, we know they've had a very contentious relationship. I think that's a big sign of just how confused Natalie is, that she's not even really worried about what's gone on with her and James, that she's just willing to say, hey, you know what, do what you got to do because now Grace is in jail.
Yeah.
I found it more interesting, his interactions with Stan. So as all this escalates for Grace, James is the one, his favorite daughter. Well, at least,
Yeah.
He hasn't said it, but I feel like it's like a parent, you really
Definitely.
ask him. He wants Stan to take a plea deal, so, I was about to call her Molly. Grace only gets 10 years in prison, still gets
Yeah.
the rest of her life. What did you guys think of that after seeing the lengths that James has gone to help Grace get cleared of the murder?
I find it suspicious that he now just kind of gave up. And I also find it weird that now the only one who seems to believe her, I think he believes her to an extent, or at least thinks he can win the case, is Stan.
Yeah, no, I found him just extremely suspicious in this episode, to be honest, James.
But I don't think he did it.
No, I don't think he did it.
100% don't think he
He's-
did it.
Hiding a huge secret, but he didn't do it, I don't think.
Well, throughout this episode, I feel like we've all had very strong feelings about who could be the killer throughout the course of the season. We all really are leaning towards Kaye right now, I feel like, as being a big player, possibly. You know, we also have the introduction of Charlotte, who we're going to talk about. But one of the theories, I felt like, if it does end up being Natalie, because it really can be anyone.
It could be anyone at this point.
I honestly felt like, you know, if it was going to be Natalie, it would have had to have been that she did it in a way that framed James because she hates him so much.
Oh. And then
That's
she wrote
the
what was said on the mirror.
She's an intellectual person who could come up with that. That is the only way I could see somehow it making sense after she's been the more moral one throughout the season.
Now I
That
can
is
see it
true.
making sense because of her morals. Like, what would have Molly had to have done for Natalie to justify murdering her? Because of her morals, because of where she stands now, I don't see that being a thing. So now, unfortunately, she's taken off my suspect list, and she's been on it the whole time. So I definitely have taken off a lot of people this episode. Prince Theo I've taken off. Natalie I've taken off. Roz, I don't know, because I was only going to take her off if she got shot, but now I'm not sure, because they seem to be building something up with Roz where she has some big plan.
Yeah, since the beginning, she's been... She was my first number one suspect. I'm just going to say that.
No, she was on mine for a while too, but they made the other characters so much more interesting as the season has gone along.
And I just keep thinking back to when the guests we've had say like that none of them guessed it or none of them. And I feel like Roz would be someone that people would guess. So that's why I'm like, who else would it be? Right. So then I'm like, maybe Gwen. Because, okay,
I was thinking Gwen.
I found it so weird, this episode, that because you know how I say she's like too emotionally invested in this case, where as soon as Bruno came in and said, what did he say? Like the whole
like you're having a good morning.
No. What's the guy's name for evil guy?
Finch.
Yeah. When the whole like Finch and the phone thing when he has him in, and then all of a sudden she was like, oh, this whole time I felt like guilty for pointing her fingers. But here's the thing, like, you never opened it up for anyone else to be the murderer. So why all of a sudden you're doubting everything and feel bad for it? I found that to be a little weird, considering what we've learned about her as a character.
Yeah, Gwen was definitely way too fast to jump to the conclusion that Grace killed Molly.
Now, see, I agree. The puzzle piece, if it is Gwen, obviously, that we need, she says, that great line in the pilot, don't underestimate jealous girls. The big question, what would Gwen be jealous of Molly Ryan for? That we have absolutely no idea. If we're going to go to left field, I'd say, was somehow Gwen even part of the coordinate, as crazy as something like that would sound?
Ooh.
What would it be? Because she has to have operated somewhere in Molly's atmosphere in order to have been motivated enough to kill her. Especially considering just how on separate sides of the world in the universe of guilt that they are. So that's what I would need to get something like that and a big clue soon if I am even to suspect Gwen.
Yeah, they would need to be connected more in some sort of way again.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, so I want to talk about another character who I feel like we're setting up to have the piece that puts a lot of... She's going to be the domino that puts a lot of pieces in motion and connects them. Vina Patel.
Yep.
So we had Kathryn Price, Nichole Millard. If you didn't see our last week's episode, check it out. The creators of Guilt talk with us about a lot of stuff, but one of the secrets they talked about is that there's going to be something with Vina that we're absolutely not suspecting that's going to change our entire perception. I know, right? Thank you, studio audience.
We have a huge studio audience.
Yes, you guys.
Thank you guys for coming out.
Yeah.
Remember, no beach balls at the table, please, You guys are ready for the Rio Olympics, too. Yeah, but so, okay, Stan has a deal to make with Vina. Says, hey, we have a big secret. That's another thing with Natalie, obviously. They break out, not only was Molly part of the coordinate, Grace was. They get rid of that video, which I thought, more might happen with it to, smear Grace's name. But the deal with Vina Patel to expose the coordinate, what do you think the fallout is to our, let's call them our protagonists for the sake of this conversation, with Stan, with Grace? What do you think that exposing all that secret does for them? Does it put them in danger? Does it do a good job of taking suspicion off of them. What do you think is the big point that's made now? It's a tough question.
Me. No, I'm like trying to think. Because that was such a long question.
Will you say that one more time?
Sorry. Okay. Sorry. All right. So having the Courtenay secret be exposed, do you think it helps Grace more than it hurts her because the suspicion is now there's so many people?
Her because it's a new layer to this case that wasn't. I mean, like from the beginning was it's a jealous girl. Oh, she was fooling around with the jealous girl's boyfriend, then jealous girl killed said best friend. Now it's, wait a second.
There's a lot
said
of
best friend
girls.
Was an escort. Oh, it's actually this super secret escort service. Oh, what is all this? And it adds more, and maybe we'll add more suspects.
Okay.
And we'll make people more skeptical, I would think.
There's a lot of girls who could be jealous, so let's be honest. Including Theo's fiance. Which we can get into later.
Well, I was going to bring her up next, but I think my biggest question, because I thought about it after last week and just sitting, reviewing the show a bit, could they be pushing us toward a female character as a red herring just because Gwen does it so bluntly? Don't underestimate a jealous girl. So we're automatically thinking it has to be a female character.
Maybe, but I think it is. To be honest, at this point.
Okay, so let's say it's not, Luke. We had a quick conversation between, Roz and Luke. Luke is experiencing, some guilt, but
Luke totally didn't do it.
No, Luke didn't do it.
I think we could even make like a list of who we're sure didn't do it. I think Luke didn't do it. I think Natalie didn't do it.
Oh, wow.
I think Grace didn't do it. I think Bruno didn't do it. Well... No, I don't think Bruno did it.
Okay, sorry.
Who else can we take off this list? Patrick.
Yeah,
I don't think did it.
You don't think Patrick did it?
That would be such a huge plot twist if Patrick did it.
I don't think he did either.
Here's the problem I have with this. I would love for it to be someone that I really wasn't expecting, like Patrick. However, I'd have to see it build up over the season.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I haven't seen anything pointing to him.
I think Grace could have done it.
Grace is still on my list.
I think
She's
she's
not
still on my list.
because it wouldn't be shocking.
It would kind of. I think it would be kind of shocking.
At this point, we know she doesn't remember any of the night. So we're like, and she was downstairs for an hour. Like everything, even for viewers.
Everything adds up.
To Grace. So no, I mean, if you think about it, when we think of other suspects, it's not because the show is pointing us towards other people. It's because we like to think outside the box, as do many of the viewers in a murder mystery, because it's usually not the first person you suspect. However, since Grace has been the main suspect of this whole show, we have been second guessing her. There's no way it's Grace. There's no way. I do think, though, when she goes under hypnosis, she will remember more. I don't know if we'll get the killer. I do think we will get steps towards who it is. If it's a voice, like whatever it may be, I think we'll learn more. But I really don't think Grace did it, because you don't think anyone will guess that Grace did it on the show?
Oh, that's true.
That's a good point, but then I try to think, could it have been made too obvious? I feel like, what if they do a dramatic flip-flop? Like, let's say we're really thinking it's Gwen going into episode 9 and 10, and they reveal something, and it does end up being Grace, and...
But that's not shocking. Here's the thing. All of these theories we have are a little far-fetched, because Gwen is far-fetched. Roz is a shady character, but why would she kill Molly? Even that's
she doesn't have a reason. Really.
Yeah, we want to learn more. Grace is the only one we've learned, without thinking outside the box, that has a motive, that was there at the place of the crime. Like, she would be the most obvious person that I guarantee you one person on that cast was like, well, it's obviously Grace, look at the script. You know? So I'm telling you guys, it's not Grace. There's no way.
She might have been so obvious, though, that... like, no one guessed that it was her.
So obvious that, of course, it's not her.
Yeah, that, like, of course it's not her kind of thing. I get where you're coming from. I definitely do.
You know what I think Renee is getting at? That, you know what? If it does end up being Grace, there's not a payoff. And with a show like this, there has to be a payoff when you're dragging it out 10 episodes.
It's an easy choice, I feel like. I feel like making Grace the murderer is the easy choice. But putting together a series, and I think these writers are really smart, putting together a series where you cannot... you don't know if this girl did it or didn't do it, but you know she's the main suspect of this whole show, and then finding out she didn't do it is way more surprising for an audience than to see the person we're like, well, did she do it? I don't know. Well, she probably did it, guessing the whole time, and then she did do it. We want someone that we like kind of guessed, but we weren't really sure, and it wasn't like in your face, like flash, like she did it, you know?
Very true.
Like Gwen or like even Kaylee.
Okay, you know, I gotta say that was brilliant.
That's why I'm clapping. Who's at the top of your suspect list right now?
To be honest, I don't know. I think Gwen is a huge possibility for me. I always try to think, why do they put all these characters in the mix? And why everyone says certain things. So Gwen, and I will say Kaylee, I think you're onto something. They made a lot of choices about her character that make me think she's a little suspicious. I don't know about Roz. I don't want it to be Roz.
I don't know if you watched too much ESPN, but I really felt like you and I were about to have like a first take moment where we just debate right here at the table. Like, of course it was Grace. No, it wasn't. Yes, let's get ready to rumble.
The only reason I really don't want it to be Kaylee is because I love Kaylee and Patrick so much together that, like, if it is Kaylee, Patrick's heart is going to, like, never heal because Kaylee's keeping so many secrets.
Well, let's hold on to that because Kaylee is one I want to talk about. I do want us to touch let's make this one a quicker one because we've talked about her in a way. Roz. So her entire storyline that we found out through Luke is that if Finch does go down, she technically now is next in line to run the Coordinate. That is something very unexpected because I felt like she's a lot lower on the ladder than it's appeared. I mean, she's kind of like a supervisor, but I feel like Finch, if he's the head guy, there's a bunch of other managers, and then maybe we have Roz on the floor, you know, recruiting girls, assigning them to these various gentlemen, quote unquote. So here's my question, just quite bluntly. If Roz killed Molly to somehow set herself up to be in charge of the Coordinate, obviously that's taken a very big turn, but if she did, you know, why? Like is she like, could she have done it? And do you think that that's enough motivation from what we know about Roz?
No, because I think I love to see when in like murder mysteries, I want it to come from like a relationship, like something so heated, and I just don't think a business issue or like a business agreement that she's hoping to get would be a reason to kill someone. I do think that is a great story, like a great reason in a smaller plot of a show, but this is like the main murder, and I want it to be a story that's so juicy, that makes so much sense, and for me that wouldn't add up.
It's just not
That's
enough?
why I don't want it to be Roz, because I see them planting these seeds with her ulterior motives.
It could be Roz.
It could be, but I just really don't want it to be, because I see what they're doing with her character, and I see what her motives are, and if that's really why she would kill someone, that doesn't do it for me.
Becca?
No, I mean, I still think she could have killed Molly in some way, but
In some way.
She
In one
got
of those
stabbed
ways.
30 times. Roz was responsible for 5 stabs.
She was only partially responsible for the
She
stabs.
handed the guy the knife, and that's how. It's okay. It's okay, Becca. We love you. You know, I gotta... Go ahead.
I kind of think she could have.
I get what you're saying.
This is like...
It's okay.
She's not off the suspect list.
No, she's not off the suspect list, but she's definitely not first on the suspect list.
Yeah, I agree.
There's a lot to debate. Here's the thing, you know, we've crossed off a lot of characters. She is still on the board. You can't say it wasn't her in terms of evidence.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, like we talked about last week, some people do have to stay, you know, guilty. It has to be one of them. We can't rule them all out.
She has a lot of connections with a lot of characters on the show, and
well,
the Coordinate.
I do have to say, what is, poor woman, I always forget her name. What is Prince Theo's
Charlotte.
fiance? Charlotte. Okay, about
They
Charlotte.
haven't named her too many times in your defense.
Yeah.
I find her suspicious in a lot of ways. I think I would need to rewatch to put her on my suspect list. However, I would love for her to be the murderer only because I would love her motive. Like, for me,
I would love
that
her motive
does it
too.
for how smart she is, for everything. But with what we've seemed to have learned, it almost seems as though she's learned with us. However, did she plan it out that way?
Yeah.
Did she kill... But I don't know, because how would Prince Theo end up with a knife? Like, I'm trying to figure this out, and I would need to come up with a better theory and, like, really sit down and think about it. But I do think she's suspicious and smart enough to get away with it.
Well, see,
That almost seems like a red herring to me.
now see, one, to wrap up the Roz theory, when I think about, don't underestimate jealous girls, I feel like of all our female suspects, Roz has the most jealousy in her. So that's why one of those... Okay, if they are setting up for that, that would be mine. Now, I do want us to talk about Charlotte because we've been waiting for her a while.
Well,
all right, go ahead.
yeah, Charlotte has jealousy too.
She does. She does, but she's only been on the show for a little bit now. I mean,
Yeah,
we saw
not too
glimpses of her. We got a lot more of her last episode, but this week... I mean, she might be more twisted than her fiance. I mean, just messing
The
with him with the dog. Like,
Okay.
oh, I brought you a dog. We're calling him Molly. Calling her Molly, and I'm like,
I need to say, even if you're lying about the whole Molly story, I have never adopted a new cat, a new dog, and like, you know what? I'm gonna name you after my dead dog or my past dead cat. Like, what a tragic story that it was. But I want to remember her through you. That would not go through my mind. So I get what Charlotte was doing, but even though he was lying, I would still be like, that's messed up. I'm not gonna name my new dog after my dead dog.
Well, he's kind of messed up in the mind, just
but he's
tad bit.
like smart enough. Like, that's just now he has a dog named Molly.
That's
okay,
the level of his IQ is slowly
dropping.
here's what I find crazy is that I feel like she's set up to be a bit of a Kate Middleton, and what I mean by that is that what we know about Princess Kate, she's not from royal-ish lineage. She was in the prince's circle, and they did form a relationship, obviously parallel to real life. With Charlotte's character, what I find weird is like, okay, she's learning all this now. She understands, it's like, Molly was not your dog. By the way, there's another word for dog that I feel like Charlotte really wants to use, but even that's too much for Freeform. But I couldn't help but think
No, I
it's
don't
like...
think that's too much for Freeform.
I almost feel like, Charlotte, you know what you want to call Molly, but there's certain, cable restrictions.
No,
but my point, what is Charlotte getting out of just messing with Theo like that? Because doesn't she still want to get married?
She wants him to come clean.
Yeah.
I'm sure she probably wants to work through it. However, here's the thing. From what we've learned from Charlotte, don't you think if he was sneaking around, sleeping with escorts, don't you think she would be the number one character type to question that and then go find out where he's been going? Considering how suspicious she is, how smart she is, I could totally see her before any of this went down, her finding out about Molly forever ago. Yeah, because she is really, really smart. She has a motive. If she found out that what her husband's been doing, I don't know. I feel like she would have.
I think she's leaning more towards red herring for me, and Kaylee's still number one. Just because I don't want to give up that theory.
I love the idea of Charlotte being the killer. My thing that is keeping me from going all in on it, she's still too much a periphery character. We haven't really seen her. I mean, we're on episode 7 of 10. We only really got to know her in
last
6.
episode.
So,
however, you could use that same argument with Prince Theo. We barely see Prince Theo. We know
until
Prince Theo
episode.
Because he's in every episode, and even he's in every scene with, or every scene that Charlotte is in the show. She's pretty much with him. So he dominates over her with presence. Yes. But however, we don't know him at all.
Oh, no,
we just
we barely know
a very little part of him. But character-wise, I feel like we've learned way more about Charlotte's character than we have about Theo's.
Oh, yeah.
Mindset and everything. I think, even though she's had less airtime, I totally feel like I know Charlotte as a person and I don't know Theo at all.
No, I feel like Charlotte's crazy.
Yeah, she's totally crazy.
Hey, aren't they like perfect for each other?
They are really
What
perfect
do you
Called
think
a
for each
about that?
other.
toxic relationship.
And yeah. No,
Becca, do you know anything about being in toxic relationships?
I don't, fortunately.
Think
So.
me neither, to be honest. But I think it's like, you know what? That would be scary.
Oh no. Yes.
You know,
We're
Hey,
on it with the sound effects.
our engineer Steven, you're the real MVP, my friend.
Yeah, you're on it.
Yeah, he's doing great. Okay, that with Charlotte, I guess that's the only thing. You know, would it be enough of a payoff if it was her? I mean, she's making a great case right now, but I don't know. I'm still on the fence. We have so much other stuff that happened in this episode, so I do want to get to it. Grace's blackouts, so I think we've talked about her
Yes.
enough. You know, is she... When I think about, for example, the visit with James, you know, very interesting
Yeah.
to see Anthony Head doing his little lullaby. And
That visit had me. That was so sweet.
That was so emotional.
Like for
But-
a second, I just forgot.
where they were,
like-
and it was
Yeah,
all
where
about
they were.
them and
I was
their
like,
heart, the heart.
"Aw, that's so cute. I'm gonna cry."
But you know what I hate about that is that I'm watching Grace's character with those eyes and with that
With those
one
puppy dog
single
eyes.
tear that's always the killer. And I'm thinking, is she really being sincere? Like, are you guilty that you're there, or are you guilty that they're about to find out that you are a killer?
but okay,
She's
here's my
scared.
argument with that.
I think that was the.
She thinks she could have done it.
Yeah.
And she doesn't know if
true.
she did it, which again makes me not want to point towards Grace. Grace is currently in prison. Like, we have not gotten to the finale, and if our killer's already in prison,
Yeah.
how
Oh,
will
that
that be
sucks.
a shock? She's already in prison, and she already thinks she did it, and now we're gonna find out if she actually did it, and she's already in prison. She's gonna go through the
She
court
gets
case.
out and
Or
goes
she's gonna
back
get
in.
released and go back in. Yeah.
True. We got to find out. Definitely more of how twisted Grace is psychologically. So we have the second shower
Well,
scene.
at least Natalie seems to think that she's very
yes.
twisted psychologically.
Like I said, I think her support is going to be a big one. But you know, the stabbing scene. So when you think
Oh my gosh.
Grace surviving in prison, you think she doesn't. I did not expect her to pull that move out that she did. That really was like, wow, you know, and it just I know that Renee wants to punch my lights out over this, that I'm saying we're just lending more to the idea that Grace could have done it. When you think about, she's willing to stab
Yeah.
herself to get out of there. You're telling me she's not willing to stab her best friend if she was jealous over something?
Okay, but here's the difference. She was worried about her life in life-threatening situation in prison versus killing her best friend because she was fooling around with her boyfriend.
True.
It's
Yeah.
murder. Like, she didn't stab herself to death. She stabbed herself. Smart girl to go, because she knew she'd go to a place that's safer, and she knew she wouldn't survive. That, to me, that's just survival instincts. I wouldn't
I think that was
survive
smart.
there. It's good tips in case, you know, if you ever end up in prison and you're worried, just stab
would-
yourself. Make sure you don't get a
Go ahead.
She's definitely the brains in her relationship.
what? Not Luke.
Wait, Luke's not the brain. Who's the
This
I
is
think
news
Renee
to
is
me.
shocked that Renee is shocked that Luke is
I'm
not the
sure.
brains.
You know
That's
what? Yeah.
crazy.
I mean, hey.
Guys, he's so smart.
Right. Oh, and aren't his paintings the best?
Beautiful
The
blood,
blood
splatter. Can I buy a blood splattered painting?
For how much?
Here's a fun question. Do you think the actor who plays Luke, Zach, does he have like one of Luke's paintings in his place right
I
now?
would love that. I would love that. I definitely love. I think he plays the character great.
plays
It's just the character pisses
so well.
The actual character, who Luke is, I don't like as a person, but I do think that the actor plays him very well.
I think that's the goal. So.
Yeah.
True. But
Like,
he's,
what's his name? Like, Zachary, we hate Luke, but you're doing a great job.
Yeah, you're doing a great job.
Yeah, so, you know, that's a fun... He's always fun to see, you know, how we're going to make Renee hate him more every week. But, you know,
The accent.
we have
Do
to...
the
oh my
accent.
gosh.
No, well... You know what? We gotta hold on to it. We've gotten a lot. I think the season finale, we're gonna have Renee imitate what his reaction is to finding out who the killer is. That's when we'll ask her to do it again.
We're gonna have her speak in his accent the whole time for the finale.
Hey, hold on. I'll do or Renee, you're the judge of all things Luke and how he speaks. He always said he sounds like a French cook. So one of you guys said that the other day.
She totally said that.
Yeah.
Me.
So what it sound like? Like, you do not like my painting. I did not kill Molly Ryan. I overcooked the ratatouille. Is that how you do?
Every episode, I'm telling you, this guy, I can't. It's every word that comes out of his mouth. You're like, can you not?
Renee, I gotta ask, on a scale of 1 to 10, how did I do?
I would give it an 8.5.
Aww.
I'm gonna go with the 7. No. Maybe a 6.
We're gonna pull an Emily. Hey, I think next week we're replacing you with Emily Tremaine for such a bad score. Boo! No. I mean, I can't do it as well as Renee. Let's just say it like it is.
Well, I feel like I'm in a soap opera.
I'm not even gonna attempt.
I feel like, I wish we could set it up where, like, when we have our show and we reveal something, it shows, like, all of us individually, the shot, like,
I know.
like, soap opera moment.
Next week.
Wait, we didn't get to Neville.
Neville. Well, I wasn't done yet.
Oh my gosh, I was like, Neville, I didn't even think about that.
So we got 2 things to square away. So the first one, Natalie, she needs the truth in order, I think, to keep her sanity. She goes to her visit with Neville, who... Not in a jail, I guess. In the place I think
like
it makes sense. A psychiatric hospital.
It's totally fitting.
Yeah, so let's just say, we only have a bit of time. Get right to it. She pushes him, and he has the big reveal. Sound effect guy, get ready. He says he saw Prince Theo holding the bloody knife over Molly Ryan. Okay, we were both saying we need it. Okay, Renee was saying it. You were saying it. I was saying it like, he better say who it is this episode. He better say who he saw.
I thought it was going to be like, who killed Molly?
Yeah, but now we know
dun, dun,
that
dun.
Prince Theo totally didn't kill Molly.
Oh, no, I don't think
100% did not kill Molly.
He said he found Molly.
Yeah, he
found
Molly.
And now, obviously, but once again, I talked about this. Neville, if he saw Prince Theo, how does Prince Theo get into a party unseen, undetected? One, who's going to believe Neville? So all of that makes sense, but here's the thing. How do you get into that spot? And if Theo didn't kill her, how does he not know who really did if he was right there?
But wait, what if Prince Theo did kill Molly, but he wasn't the only person to kill Molly?
Okay, here's my only question about 2 killers right now. It's not like... a Bonnie and Clyde. She got stabbed. What? Did one person do 15 stabbings? The other one did 15? How does it work?
But that's the other thing. Okay, this is my argument again with Roz.
Okay.
Why the heck would she kill Molly the way she did if it was for reasons of like business and jealousy? If you wanted her dead, if that was truly her motive, just to get this girl dead so she can move up in this career of hers, you shoot her. Or you poison her, or you do something so she's dead. You don't stab her. How many times was she stabbed?
Like 30, 38?
38 times? That's an act of hate. That's an act of like extreme jealousy. There have to be strong feelings
really
there.
strong motive.
That's not like there are cleaner murders. They're like, okay, this would kind of make sense. It's still a little disappointing, but that would make sense. Roz does not have a strong enough motive to stab her over 30 times. That's absurd.
Well, my only thing is if she's not trying to set up Finch, because I feel like she would have had an easier way to do it. Let's say Roz is the one who put the killer in, Molly's
in the room with
that
atmosphere.
would make more sense to me.
Why would she do that to Theo? Because if she wants to run the Courtenay, why would you want to potentially lose your top client? I know. Okay.
Never underestimate jealous girls.
Thanks, Stephen.
I have a question.
Thanks, Steve.
Okay, you guys have never killed anybody. I really hope. But have you guys thought that, I am a little more dangerous when I'm jealous?
No.
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 I think I'm less
Renee,
dangerous when
I
I'm
don't
jealous.
believe that. I feel like you've been the one
No.
that's like, excuse me, what did she say? I feel like
I think
Renee
if
got
I'm
that
jealous,
edge to her.
like
I'm
I'll
more
stay
of the
home with my
crying
cats
type.
and eat ice cream. Yeah, I'm not gonna like go out and like be, you wanna, I would be like sad and cry.
I'm more of the crying,
I mean,
watching
depends
a
how
movie
jealous
type.
I am. It's not like a jealous like, oh my god, her shoes are nicer than mine, then go home and cry. But it's like if my boyfriend was sleeping with my best friend, I wouldn't be like, what am I gonna do to torture them? I'd be like, well, never gonna leave my apartment. Guess I'm
Yeah.
unlovable.
See, I thought you would
Like
have
Ben
been...
Higgins in The Bachelorette.
I like that
Yeah, see,
comparison.
I know what's on your DVR when you get home. You know, I
Wait,
feel like
what?
I feel like Renee would be like, "Excuse me, you did what with my boyfriend?" Like,
And
or
he
like-
called. Can we just go back to the fact he called me an angel, introducing me in the beginning, and now I'm capable of
Now,
murder.
now
Yeah,
Renee is
I
his
mean-
number one suspect.
Yeah, who killed Molly Ryan? You know,
I did.
hashtag Renee Ariel.
Never underestimate jealous girls.
I'm gonna set up for a good opening next week. I'll give
Oh
you
no,
that
I'm
much.
so excited.
Becca, do you think Renee killed Molly Ryan?
Choose wisely.
All right, you know, enough fun. We have one more thing that happened at the end of the episode. Roz destroys the coordinate evidence, which, okay, were you trying to build the house over, you know, were you trying to start fresh with the coordinate? Or I guess now it's damaged goods. She knows she doesn't get she's not going to get away with, you know, running the business, so she's covering herself.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's
We-
covering herself.
We all thought, I really thought, well, we're about to knock Roz completely off the list
Me
if Finch
too.
kills her.
And I would have been so happy if he did, but I get that they have to
No.
keep her on because she needs to remain a suspect. I just really hope it's not her, guys.
My heart was beating so fast.
So-
Is it bad that I was like, bye, Roz. See you
No.
later. See you
Well-
never.
My heart was
I'm so over Roz.
So
What is
fast.
a good aspect of her personality? Like, this girl's likable. I'd invite her to a party. I wouldn't invite her to anything.
Well, I'm not gonna lie. Here's
like
the thing.
Roz.
I would invite her to DJ my party.
No,
That's
sure.
about it. Hey, but here's the thing. It's like you're allowed to stay up there. We'll bring waters to you. You are not allowed to join us on the floor because you might recruit my female friends to join an illegal sex club for London's Rich and Famous.
I don't. I don't find anything likable about Roz. I don't know.
That was
No, I don't find anything likable about her, but I think that's strangely enough why I like her character.
well. We haven't even said bluntly. Finch didn't kill Roz. It was Kaylee.
That
What? No,
was-
no. What?
Oh my god.
Kaylee killed Finch.
Kaylee
Sorry.
killed Finch.
Yeah,
So
that-
we don't
my
know if
apologies.
he's dead. We don't know if he's dead. She hit him
You
in the
don't
head.
get up from a hit like that.
You might.
He looks
He
pretty
might
dead.
go to. We don't know. He could be alive until we know. Until it's confirmed. You never know in shows like
That's
this.
very true.
Here's the thing. I guess it shows Kaylee looks pretty shocked and stunned and guilty. But if she is still a suspect, it's like, well, do you think she would have looked that way if this is the second or more person that she has killed, if she did kill Molly Ryan?
Or is it an act? Because here's the
that's what I
argument
thought.
to play. I mean, you could say that she pretended to be shocked because she's like, oh my gosh, but at the same time, she just whipped someone in the head. But at the same time, you can argue if you saw your friend being held a gunshot, it's kind of like an instant reaction to have.
Yeah, no, that's
Sure.
true. But
Go ahead.
I mean, even if she didn't kill Molly at this point, now she's gonna
Go to
possibly be
prison
guilty
for
for
something.
another
Oh, yeah.
But they'll
crime.
probably cover it up.
I mean, this... What,
Season
just,
2.
Just throw him in the trash can to keep burning? So, all right. I guess that's the end of the episode.
Yeah.
Yes,
Oh.
but I wanted to point out one more thing. If anyone was wondering what the writing on the mirror meant in James's apartment, it meant you'd better keep your mouth shut, and that's
So it's got to be Russian. The Russian,
Nichole and
you know,
Kathryn.
the Russian
Yeah.
gangs who one own the coordinate, and I guess James is somehow in cahoots with. Not necessarily that James is running the
being
coordinate,
blackmailed.
but yeah. So they might play a part. You know, who gets to grace first, the actual killer or you know the mob? Because I feel like they're gonna set up somehow. Our main suspect is gonna be who gets there first, the authorities, the mob. I feel like we're gonna have these forces converge on some of our main characters, and in that scuffle, we are gonna find out the truth and the fallout.
Yeah.
But before we get to that in our season finale, for right now, let's get our AfterBuzz TV predictions. Is this our thing we do now?
Your AfterBuzz TV
Predictions. So, AfterBuzz TV, Angel, What's your prediction for next week?
I'm scared.
Okay, so I don't know if it's just next week or in general. We'll find out. I think that Prince Theo's story was legit. I think that he found Molly murdered by, he would call an animal because she was stabbed over 30 times. That's what I would call an animal too. And so I think that that will come out later on. And I do think under hypnosis, Grace is going to remember something we can't even predict because it's not just like she saw someone's face. I think it's going to be a detail that we can't predict, but it will lead to the killer by the finale. I will say Luke, Natalie, Grace, Bruno, and Patrick are off my suspect list, and and Charlotte and Gwen are on my suspect list, but it's still, I don't know. Okay. And Kaylee's on my suspect list, but I don't know.
Okay.
I'm proud of my prediction that Kaylee is guilty.
Okay.
The killer.
For the same reasons as last week, you just think that she has...
I just think she has a reason to be jealous, and I also like that she's hooking up with Patrick, who's the brother of Molly.
It makes sense. My big thing, are we going to find out then that Kaylee was jealous of Molly because there's something going on with Molly and Roz before? Or was it maybe Molly's position in the Coordinate as Prince Theo's main...
She was jealous of something.
I agree. I think my prediction, Patrick, played by Kevin Ryan. I think Patrick is not going to pull off assassinating Prince Theo, but he is going to kick a lot of ass doing it, and I can't wait. And you know what? I'm going to go with Kaylee right now. I'm leaning toward her as the number one. I do think, though, whatever setup for season 2, it's going to heavily involve Charlotte because she's becoming such an interesting character.
I love her.
It's going to either involve Charlotte or Kaylee, whoever didn't do it.
Well, we know we're getting there. We're getting close to the end. It's getting fun. But yeah, guys, thank you for joining us. As always, please give us a rating on iTunes. If you're watching us on YouTube, please give us 5 stars because really, why would you give these 2 girls 4 stars? And guys, where can we find you on Twitter?
Hey guys, I'm Renee Ariel, and you can find me on Instagram and on Twitter at Renee Ariel.
Hi, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Becca B Talks TV.
Hey guys, you can find me on Twitter at Double G on TV. Thanks for watching.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.